lost
very
a lot
accessible.
of
The government is not making themselves transparent or accessible.
And we've lost a lot of our good science people. The federal government and the provincial government, they're unloading our scientists.
Was that from me?
Unless they want to play along.
I heard that, yes.
They're out, which scares me to death.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of giving the message that we're going to do this, whether you like it or not, and we'll buy the scientists we need. We can purchase the university professors we need. We can fund their papers. That's been going on a long time. Which is why I suggest to people, find out your source. Find out is someone paying for that research. Because if someone's paying for the research, it's no longer valid as research, right? It's a different. There are really good professors who would not be compromised. But many will. We're all kind of easily led, right? None of us are.
Basically, I think we're here in a way to tell you we're aware that this is happening. A lot of people are starting to get aware. A lot of people still are completely in the dark, but a few of us are starting to be aware. And confrontational or not, we are not in agreement. Or I can only speak for myself. I don't want this mine. I am very concerned about it.
You're the first one that's told me that.
Many people in the
So
community
you can tell me, I will tell you what mine, number 2.
And I've spoken to many people in your community, and they don't want.
So, and if this has not arrived to you, then it's time that we start making this dialogue happening, because I tell you, the moment that people will find out about it, people are no longer completely clueless, because we've seen what happens in other places. So we're worried, and we treasure our environment because we know it's all we've got.
There are 20 years that have moved to New Brunswick from other places because there is no industry, or there's very little industry.
Exactly.
And now their lives and their decisions and their choices are being affected.
I'm one of them, actually.
And I know when someone's income depends on believing something, often that's what people will believe. And
Alberta, where my husband is military, and we have the opportunity of staying in Alberta for him to get a job, you know, in one of the industries as a cook, and we chose not to because we didn't want to be part of that industry. We didn't want to be affected, you know, personally, financially, environmentally by those industries. So we chose to come back to New Brunswick because of it.
I understand. The family out there as well.
I'd rather struggle. I would much rather struggle and be honest about it than to be financially or feel as if I'm financially ahead until something falls apart and feel that I have to sell off everything in order to get financially ahead again. Because I saw that happen in Alberta as well, where, you know, young men that had been hired in the industry were told that they were going to be laid off. How many years ago? That would have been about 4 years ago or so. You know, and they were selling off their vehicles, they were selling off their houses, cheap, because they felt they had to get by. That was the only way that they were going to get by, because it was too much of a risk for them to lose their job. That's how they felt. So, you know, they went out there for a bonus, and they ended up leaving with a negative.
If the mine goes ahead today, where do you see this area in 50 years from now? How do you see it? Still clean water? Still houses around? Everybody's happy? That's how you see it?
if a flood takes that poison down the river, it's going to be clean.
Well, again,
won't kill the fish.
No, again, this is why I want to sit down with you, with our engineers, to talk about that tailings impoundment thing. This is, you know.
Kills
But why aren't you willing to sit down and talk to them about it?
Oh my God!
If you want the information,
no, but not alone. I don't want that in a private meeting. These kinds of private meetings have happened enough.
Exclude people from getting the
What we want is you bring your engineer, or through Skype or through in person, no problem. But not in a room like this.
And a phone. What's with this open phone?
Proper forum where everybody can come.
This conference call.
And we can do that.
Yeah,
And we
that's
can do
what
that.
needs to happen.
And we did that last September here in 3 communities, plus First Nations, plus Woodstock.
I know, but it's not large.
If it's not large enough, we'll take a
So
look at it.
where does that stand between St. Mary's and Woodstock?
Actually, Randall Street looks after First Nation relations. So.
Don't you think you should have that information?
Well,
As a representative?
he would be here, but he's in DC right now, actually.
That information should have been passed on.
Where does it stand right now? There's a traditional knowledge study going on currently in the area, which is being managed by St. Mary's and incorporates both Madawaska and Woodstock. And currently they are also in discussions with Assembly of First Nation chiefs.
So who supports it? Which First Nations right now supports it?
I don't know that anybody's come out from.
So doesn't that
Because they haven't been asked. Because they haven't
Well,
been asked.
I think they would refuse. They say no, and they know they would refuse.
I know that's going on.
So when is that supposed to be finished?
Well, that
When should
consultation,
that consultation report come out?
I don't know, the consultation never ends on a project description.
So how can you get proper consent from the Aboriginal people without without consultation being
Well,
done?
at the end
If
of
it's
it,
ongoing and it's never ending.
if the consultation period is ongoing with the project, if the project moves forward, the consultation doesn't
So
stop.
again, how do you get proper consent from the Aboriginal people, which is legislation?
Well, it's gonna have to be asked.
By who? By you or by the government?
I have no idea. Well, government's responsibility, the responsibility of the consultation is the Crown's.
A lot of time the government says it's your responsibility.
Oh, I know, they download a lot to the proponent.
It's like a ping pong ball.
Well, but
But let it be known, while we have you on camera, that Chief Candace Paul does not support Sissenbrook.
I'm aware of that. Candace
So
said
we
that
can't
very
predict
clearly.
And she's an extremely intelligent woman, so.
Yeah,
So it can't proceed.
I have been,
This is traditional Maliseet territory.
we're aware of that.
Yeah. You know, and this land has not been signed over to
We
anybody.
met with Candace and Chief and Council probably a year and a half ago, and it was made very clear then what the position
why go
was.
ahead actually?
Because
It's not a
the
good
cons-
question. Why would you go ahead then actually? If it had already made
You're not
made
making
clear to you 1.5 years, why would it come?
But at least
it's
one.
a question of.
I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but.
Because there's more than one First Nation.
But if, why can't,
But this
so
is
you
the
don't
main-
have, consent then from every First Nations community that uses the water systems. And
Well,
the-
Mi'kmaws have asserted rights in the area as well.
Mi'kmaq is not affected by the St. John River.
But they've asserted rights in the area.
Where's the Mi'kmaq? The Mi'kmaq, they follow along the coast. And the Maliseet, they follow along the river system, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you
Are
that
the
they've
Mi'kmaq,
asserted.
I'm telling you, are the Mi'kmaq,
She knows.
are the Mi'kmaq affected by the watershed in this area?
I have no idea.
No, they're not.
But do they use the area current use?
This is not traditional Mi'kmaq territory, like I just said.
Yeah.
It's traditional Maliseet territory. We do not go into the territory unless we are asked to go, or a hand is extended. And the same as the Mi'kmaq coming into the Maliseet territory. It doesn't happen.
So they can't give consent to your.
They cannot give
your
consent to
land.
this area. They cannot give consent to traditional Maliseet territory. And we cannot give consent to traditional Mi'kmaq territory.
So you learned something?
Well, I think so. It's all a giant learning curve.
Wanted to ask you a question. When do you expect that you're going to release this feasibility
Environmental
report?
impact assessment?
No, the feasibility.
The feasibility, sometime around the end of September, early October.
So it's going to be released after the environmental.
They'll be
impact.
done almost simultaneously.
And then the
See,
public consultation.
But you said that there were some uncertainties about the design and
The metallurgy, that's right.
and
the
this is
final-
going to be resolved in this
One year,
feasibility
That's correct.
report.
That's correct.
So how can you make a proper assessment of the environmental impact if you don't know the final figures? So wouldn't it make more sense that you have to release first the feasibility study before?
Well, the feasibility, not all the feasibility will be released to the public. It's not a public document.
it's not a public document.
Okay, because there's a lot of proprietary information, financial information.
Proprietary, secret.
No, financial information.
Yeah. For
Secret,
feasibility.
but proprietary still.
But
Yeah,
those
see.
parts that are related to the design will be made public?
Absolutely. And this is why when you look at the current mine design from what was in the project description, you can see the difference in the project design. And that was done as a result because the feasibility and the environmental team get together. So to avoid impacts in a certain area, they can design the tailings and move it over this way. Here they can avoid impacts on the stream and stuff. But essentially the plant structure, the pit is the pit. It can't move, obviously. That's where the ore deposit
But
is.
it can leak.
What?
They can leak.
Oh, absolutely.
Floods can take it. If, one flood,
The sheer size of it is
frightening.
frightening.
But those are the things that concern me.
We're going
So
back in
We
history.
can't risk our water. I'll give you an alternative economic plan. And Mr. Allwood just kind of rolls his eyes when I talk about
You're
it.
not going to suggest a fur trade again, are you?
Well, maybe. I think we have clean water. We have
We haven't distributed
a
any.
little bit of forest that we can let.